I find it hard to write about the Batman. Mostly because it's not the concrete, well-articulated thoughts that I have about it, it's more of a feeling, or rather the mixed bag of countless different feelings, which all at once create this guttural sensation that I can't just put into the right words. Movie magic is truly a fascinating thing. With just a little bit of makeup, some light manipulation and a couple of fancy camera angles, you can create a completely different world on the screen. The Batman's city doesn't feel like anything that could exist in our real physical world. It's a place that consists of countless contradictions. It feels so small, confined, even suffocating, while at the same time so grand, omnipresent and empty. This opposition is like a night and day difference, which is not surprising considering that it's exactly the opposition of the day and the night. During the day, it's just another place where normal people like ourselves live our normal boring lives. While when the sun goes down, all of the despicable demons leave their shadows and become the rulers of these dirty roads. And one of such despicable demons is a multi-billionaire in a Halloween costume with a wild, uncontrollable temperament and anger issues. The first thing that immediately catches the eye is how surprisingly amateurish this Batman feels. In other big screen Batman tales, the figure of Batman feels bigger than the human under its mask. It's not a person, but rather an unstoppable force of rage, or justice, or just the darkness of the shadows themselves. But here it's very much just a human, who is vulnerable, imperfect, and just as mortal as anyone else. And it's precisely because of this imperfection, the wild ambitions of this person are so much more thrilling. This Batman constantly gets his shit beaten out of him. He gets hit, kicked, shot a lot actually, electrocuted, outplayed both physically and mentally. He is just a mess. Instead of being all-seeing, all-knowing demigod, he makes mistakes. Mistakes that let people die, that almost make him die. He's not the ferocious force of vengeance. He's just a very angry, confused kid. However, the sheer power of his anger might be enough to make a difference in this wretched place, but not the difference that Bruce might have intended.
Hey guys, thanks for all the comments, and a special thanks to everyone for the tips on detonators.
Just like the character himself is so detached from his godlike image, the ideas behind this masked creature are also put to the highest level of scrutiny. What will rage, aggression and violence inspire in others? Hopefully fear, but most probably the desire to go out and do the exact same thing that their beloved masked freak had been doing for years now. Listen, the Riddler in this film is just a massive psychopathic weirdo. He's just so unappealing. No one came out of the film thinking that this guy is anything except the pitiful giant disappointment. And that's the point of him. He doesn't need to be charismatic or arrogant or whatever else we want from an interesting villain. By himself he's just a schizo with a knack for killing rich people. But luckily he's not by himself here. He's with his best friend. A person who's just as angry at the accursed world and just as determined to punish the guilty. Riddler and Batman make one hell of a team, and that's because Riddler follows the example of Batman with the utmost precision and dedication. He, just like the Bat, also decided to take the fate of his beloved city into his own hands. He too wants to bring the real change that will stop people like him from being created daily in the streets. He wants a better future and doesn't care what will it cost him to make it real. So, what separates Batman from Riddler then? Well, Not much, actually. If not for the vague moral code and at least some degree of hope in the existing institutions, Batman could very much be the one of those faceless shooters who see themselves as saviors of Gotham City. Vengeance will bring you nowhere. Something born of fury and cruelty will only cause more of the same cruelty and fury. Violence must serve something. Something more than just vengeance. Because vengeance only creates new monsters, and that doesn't solve anything really. Batman lost every single battle against the Riddler. Without even laying a finger on him, Riddler absolutely demolished every single pillar of Batman's ideology and what that stood for. The finale of this story is Batman's total defeat as a detective, as a defender, and as a symbol. This Batman is not only imperfect, he is a total, absolute failure. And that's really fucking cool. This film is not the origin of Batman as a character, it's the origin of Batman as a myth. It's not enough to put on the costume with pointy ears and beat a couple of punks on the street to become the icon of Gotham City. Batman is not a menace who decides everything with his fists. He starts like that, yeah, but soon he must see how being just that is not enough. Bruce starts his journey without any purpose behind it. He doubts why he does what he does, what is actually important to him, and who he wants Batman to become. He has no answers, only countless questions. The only thing that moves him is his never-ending, burning anger. But to bring actual, real change, he must become more. On one hand, Batman is the manifestation of shadows themselves, the primordial fear that pushes evil back to their holes from which they emerged. But on the other, he must be the hope for those whom he tries to protect. Hope for things to get better, hope for a future where someone like him wouldn't be needed anymore. The Batman starts with a confused, angry kid who tries to find any meaning in his pointless, miserable world. And it ends with someone who wants not only to destroy, but to inspire others to be better. To show with an example what Gotham he wants to see. He's imperfect, flawed, confused, and sometimes straight up weird. But that's what makes him an ideal defender of this city. Just like Gotham, Batman can change, grow to be better, acknowledge his mistakes, fail, be defeated, turn into complete ruin. But as long as he believes in a better future, he can get up. The city can get up from its ruins and transcend into something bigger than just a set of alleys and shadows. This Batman has a long way ahead of him, but if at the very start it was only anger that motivated him, then now it's also hope. And with hope you can actually build something better, and not just set the world on fire. This is probably the most fraught and incompetent Batman that we ever had on a big screen. However, I think that all of his imperfections end up making him not only better, but probably the best Batman we've ever had.